5 o'clock.
Sometimes I do.
And so I'll call this meeting of the Mesilla Valley Metropolitan Planning Organization Bicycle and Pedestrian Facilities Advisory Committee to order. If the members on the board will go down the line and introduce yourselves and the organization you're from. Start them down here.
Jeremy Burrell. I'm here representing the city of Las Cruces.
I think, is this already on? Okay, there you go. Sorry. Jason Cogdill, the town of Mesilla.
Charles Boylston, representing the town of Mesilla.
Ashley Curry, I'm the citizen representative from the town of Mesilla.
Jim Wilcox, representing cyclists.
Andrew Guerra, representing NMDOT, District 1.
Aubrey Casillas with Doña County.
And I'm George Pearson, citizen representative from the city of Las Cruces. Next up is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes for the agenda?
Staff does not have any changes, Mr. Chair.
I'll hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Jim Wilcox, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Andrew Guerra, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We've approved that. Next up is approval of the minutes for our May 20th, 2025 meeting. Place it on discussion. I'll hear a motion to approve the minutes.
Ashley Curry, so moved.
Jim Wilcox, I second that motion.
Do we have any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're on to public comment. This is our first of two opportunities for the public to comment for us. Is there anybody in the public? Come up and give us your name and your comment.
Just a couple of us concerned bicyclists that want to,
Could you get your name for the record, please?
sorry, Mike Basehart. And what else did you want?
That's all.
Okay. This friend of mine brought it up and asked if I'd bring it up at the meeting, but I agree. We're having issues with the maintenance of the bike lanes and having either sand, gravel, glass from car accidents, metal and other debris. He even mentioned 99-cent liquor bottles in there. They're also severely cracked and buckled, and it's hard to ride in them safely. So if anything can be done to do something about that, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Do you know if this is predominantly in the city or the county or on NMDOT roads?
Probably both, but more in the city is what I've noticed.
Okay.
The
because-
buckling happens everywhere, though. It just, it seems like when there's new pavement put in, the bike lanes aren't repaved in a lot of places. Just my observation.
Because on city streets, the city, I believe they have said before, it's like every 6 weeks, they want to get a street sweeper on every city's street. So in between that things can accumulate. For the city, there's also the 311 that you could contact if there's a particular place. And for the county, I think you'd have to call the county, and for NMDOT, you probably have to call NMDOT if there are particular bad spots. But
Well, I'll be more, maybe keeping track of things that we run into and maybe have a better, more directed thing that we can call about, as you mentioned. Right?
Mr. Chair, Jim Wilcox for the record. Has there been an effort by Velo Cruces to reach out to Public Works to see how that system's working and maybe track the cleanups and thank them for their efforts?
Not recently. We haven't had it. the city had a time when they were low on equipment. So their street sweepers, they only had like 2 street sweepers running. And so there were some problems, but that was several years ago. And more recently, I haven't heard of any complaints, but that doesn't mean that maybe the schedule's changed, maybe they've lost equipment again, I don't know. So maybe we can ask staff to reach out to the city just for a response and find out if there's any issues that they know of with keeping up their regular.
Okay. Great. So if they're sweeping the streets, the bike lanes would be great too, to keep up on those.
Okay,
Appreciate.
Thank you for bringing
I'll
that
get
to our
that number
attention.
from somebody. You said to call?
as far as, if there's a particular place, the city has a 311, their Ask 311 on the website, or they have an app. And even if it's not in the city, they'll forward it. So if you have a specific spot, if it's like Hickory and Devonay de Mesilla, well, that's an NMDOT, but they would take the report and I presume they would forward it then to NMDOT if there's a particular issue.
Jim Wilcox for the record. Mr. Basehart, if you decide to use that system and you call in, if you can get back to us later and tell us whether or not that was effective, if you happen to notice, I don't want you to go out and check and, you know, have a schedule, but if you happen to notice if I called in and within a week it was cleaned up or not, that'd be great to know.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, we move on to discussion items. No, not action items, I'm sorry. We have a tip amendment.
Dominic Loya for MPO staff. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we do have some tip amendments. This is mostly, as is the last quarter of the fiscal year, the housekeeping stuff. So we will be going through a few amendments. The first one will be for Roadrunner Transit. This is TL00100 for federal fiscal years 2025 through 2029. As I said before, this is Roadrunner Transit. This is in their operating section, just for operations. This is to true up what they actually did receive, as well as to basically put those projections out so they know what they received this year. They know they're not going to receive anything less next year, but they don't know how much they're going to receive. So they just projected this year's totals across the board, which is why you're going to see here specifically, it's basically $3,100,609 in stick funds. Then we also have the 5307 funds, which will be $566,254, with a local match totaling $3,666,863 for federal fiscal years 25, 26, and 27. Then we have, for federal fiscal year 28, they did project a little more. That is an out year in the tip. So that it will be, for the 5307 funds, it will be $3,165,722 with stick funds of $566,254, with the local match being $3,731,976. And then for 29, again, a little more, a slight increase for the 5307 funds to $3,232,202, with stick funds of, again, $566,254, and then the local match will be totaling $3,798,456. This project will have no effect on current performance measures. We then have TL00120. This will be for federal fiscal years 24 and 25. This is in the capital equipment. So for federal fiscal year 24, which is the previous year, they finally do have the actuals that they received for that year from FTA. So it is going to be, the 5339 funds will be $266,000 $1,533. And then for federal fiscal year 25, it'll be updating to the FTA 5339 funds to $32,000 with a local match of $8,000. Again, this project will have no effect on current performance measures. We then have TL 00140. This is for the rolling stock. This is for federal fiscal years 2025 through 2027. This is updating federal fiscal year 25 to what was actually received. So they received in the 5339 funds $286,446. They did receive a LONO grant of $5,721,073 with a local match of $1,083,098. And then in federal fiscal years 26 and 27, it'll be for FTA funds of $289,446 and a local match of $51,079. And again, this project will have no effect on current performance measures. We then now have LC 00600. This is a new project. This is the Safe Routes to School project for federal fiscal years 26 and 27. So this is the grant. It is for operations. In federal fiscal year 26, it'll be TAP Flex funds for $299,040 with a local match of $50,960. And then in federal fiscal year 27, it'll be TAP Small Urban funds of, again, $299,040 and a local match of $50,960 for a project total of $700,000. And this project will have an effect on performance measure 1, safety targets. And lastly, we have LC 00382 for federal fiscal year 2026. This is from NMDOT. This is for the I-25 Engler interchange, which is for the addition of interchange ramps, lighting, and safety measures. This is just simply an update of the milepost. It'll be from milepost 6 to milepost 8.3. And this project will have an effect on performance measure 1, safety targets. MPO staff is requesting that BPAC recommend approval to the MPO governing board of this series of tip amendments. I will now stand for any comments or questions.
Okay, I guess I noticed during the presentation that the last item wasn't in the packet. It's just a last minute, and it's just, there's no dollar amount associated with it, but and I guess my other question is 8.3, mile marker 8.3, is that like the Doña exit?
So for the, Mr. Chair, for the actual reason it wasn't in the packet is because it was a last minute addition. And then I will let Mr. Guetta answer for the where the mileposts are.
Mr. Chair, you had mentioned milepost, excuse me, 8.1. That's a little bit before the Doña exit, near the, closer to the Elks Trail, I believe.
Okay, so it's just the way the engineering works, they just want to expand the mile markers just to, I don't know, improve the shoulder or something on part of it, or?
No, I'd have to look into that and give you a better answer on it.
Okay, well, that's still, I mean, it's 2 years away from construction starting, so you haven't even really started design on it.
That's
I
correct.
assume. Anybody else have any questions about any of this? And I guess I forgot to put it on the table already. So look for a motion to recommend approval of the tip amendments to the governing board.
Ashley Curry, so moved.
Aubrey Casillas, second.
So I have a motion and a second to recommend the tip amendments to the governing board. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we finished that item. So now we have discussion items, potential future trail analysis discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dominic Loya for MPO staff. So as requested during the MTP discussion, we are bringing this forward as part of that for future trails so that we can improve the map that we already have. Okay, so these are just kind of the principles. We're going to kind of be going over where we're seeing this as staff going forward. Basically, all new major roadways should have bicycle and pedestrian facilities associated with them, especially within the city of Las Cruces, due to the Complete Streets Ordinance. So those kind of are ones that would be discussed as they come into play with the city itself. Now, when we discuss retrofitting roadways, so we do have some older roadways. They would have to be within the physical constraints of the already current right-of-way or reasonably acquirable rights-of-way. There are some places such as Mesquite Street where the buildings come right up to the rights-of-way, so there's not going to be a lot of change on Mesquite because of things like that. And then the other thing too is traffic warrants. So stoplights, stop signs, those are solely controlled by owning jurisdictions. And the engineers have something they have to answer for and be able to prove why this is needed. So we can take stuff forward, but they do have 100% the right to say no because of their traffic studies. The city of Las Cruces, the town of Mesilla, and Doña County are more consistently seeking suggestions for facilities and types of facilities along roadways. Again, it will need to be within the physical constraints of those rights of way, and they will also need to reflect the community character. So there will be, in general, when thinking about putting specific facilities on streets, we do need to think about that community and how they will react to it as well, because they do have, it is their community as well. And the other thing too is property rights of owning jurisdictions must be respected. They do have final say over their properties. Right now, if you can get a hold of the International Boundaries and Water Commission, more power to you. They will answer when they choose to. Army Corps of Engineers, Elephant Butte Irrigation District, New Mexico State University, and Tortugas community are not actively seeking project suggestions at this time. So from a staff perspective, we are going to refocus our attention on the completion of the southern leg of the multi-use loop trail. We're also going to be working on updating the bicycle facilities map. So what is actually out there? We are requesting the BPAC develop suggestions on parties of missing connections because in the past there have been a lot of complaints about things coming out and dumping you into nowhere, into a busy street, things like that, that don't have any connection to other parts. And this is intended to be a long-term ongoing review and development process. And I will now stand for any comments or questions.
Okay, this kind of came out as we were fighting with the active transportation map from the MTP and a desire for an aspirational trail map. Now, it's labeled as the trail map, but you're kind of mixing in the other bicycle facilities also. So I wonder if we shouldn't, and I think we should be addressing them separately so that we can consider the trails. Trails also become part of the transportation network, of course, but still a multi-use trail as opposed to an in-road bicycle facility is more the design to look at. So what I was kind of hoping for, in my mind, that we had a map, create a map, interactive map of the MPO area where we put in existing multi-use trails and then we show where planned projects are And then we kind of open it up and ask the community and our board, where do you think we should have trails? Because I know the Gravel Arrows group, for example, does gravel riding. They use trails all the time that are probably considered trespassing. But there shouldn't, that should be something that we should formalize and make as safe as possible. It shouldn't be hard, especially for their use, to, in my mind, EBID already has agreements with the city. They could have agreement with the county to just designate the routes, and they wouldn't need any kind of a facility update at all. It just has to say, yes, this is a trail that could be used. So I guess my question for staff is there any possibility of doing an interactive map where we could go out to the community? Tool Design, when they did the county Safe Streets for All process, they had a nice map. I think the city did one similar. I guess I'll let staff respond and see where we go from there.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you. We're actually brainstorming, so we're looking for exactly that kind of suggestion. I'm not at this moment in time going to say yay or nay, but thank you for the input. That's exactly the sort of information that we're looking for at this time to sort of bring these ideas on board and then sift through them and see where we specifically want to go from here.
Mr. Chair, Ashley Curry for the record. Would you mind just going back a slide, please, Mr. Lawyer? And another one. So were these organizations, the International Boundary Waters, Army Corps of Engineers, Elephant Butte, New Mexico State University, and Tortugas Community asked if they were seeking project suggestions?
EBID and NMSU were, and that was the response that we got back from them. IBWC, we've not been able to make successful contact with, and neither with the Tortugas community, but our understanding from the other stakeholders who interact with the Tortugas community is that there's a lot of resistance to facility construction in their area at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Mr. Chair, I think what I'm getting at here is I would love to see the tone change to a can do rather than a can't do. And so I feel like a lot of this presentation is about what we can't do rather than where we can go. And as a member of the BPAC, I think my goal is to leave this community a community that is more bike friendly and safer in the future rather than these things can't be done. And I don't know if I'm just reading this from a different perspective, if other members of the community, of the committee are seeing it this way as well, but I would really love to see us as a BPAC changing to how can we build relationships, how can we make relationships with these entities so that we can build a cohesive region that is safer for everybody.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Curry, thank you. However, you are correct in that there was some desire on the part of staff to kind of establish some guardrails on the discussion because we did have that extremely bad problem with some of the member jurisdictions back with the previous MTP where we were very seriously excoriated for over-planning, being entirely too ambitious on other people's property to which we didn't have rights to make plans for. And so you did correctly pick out on one of the things that we are looking at. There do have to be some guardrails. There do have to be some understandings of some limitations on what we can and cannot plan for. It's unfortunate. I agree. I wish that we could deliver the moon and the stars, but we do have to have some degree of realistic grounding in what it is that we're wanting to do here. So within the parameters of that, I think there are a lot of things that we can discuss and do, but we do have to understand that there are limitations on what it is that we're going to be able to look at and discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. I think that just in general, I do appreciate where you're coming from on that, and I know we can't make plans for other people's, but I think we can put forth visions of what a community could look like if they were to buy in, and then to help facilitate that vision within other people's entities to whatever degree possible. And I think that we should be looking at, what the world could look like. And I understand maybe let me just put out like Doña and a community, for example, they have a vision to make more trails, and I'm not seeing them on this list. I'm not sure if that's just not in the MPO region, but I'm thinking that you teaming up with the people who do want to. I think NMSU, if we found the right people therein, would be open to it. So I would just love to have some more language that's more inclusive and more open to building relationships.
I appreciate that. Again, the intent of this was to kind of establish some of those parameters, but we are looking to expand and do some of the things that you're elaborating there. So I think we're kind of talking about the same thing with a slight difference in enunciation here.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the idea is, let's create an aspirational map, and some ideas simply cannot be implemented. And at some point they would have to be taken off. But as the first step, maybe it'd be good to find out what those are, and maybe we note then on a future map that, oh, sorry, this is a red corridor that's never going to happen because the jurisdiction is just simply not going to allow it. Because, as far as aspirational, I'd like to see the Rio Grande Trail as part of this all the way up to Leesburg, for example. And then as a practical matter, what's being done now is along the Leve Trail. And since that can actually be used at this point, that seems like something that should be able to be done at a practical matter more easily.
Mr. Chair, Jim Wilcox for the record. It was said that we can't deliver the moon and the stars. I don't think we're asking for that. I think we're asking for improved trails, interconnected trails. And the other thing I think is that usually a group who at the time says, no, that's not for us, there may be a reason why in the future, or a reason why now, that it would be for them. And if they find out there's a compelling reason why they should do this, they can be for it. But when you put up a block and says, we're not taking suggestions, then they don't hear anything. So I think having as I support Ms. Curry's statement, that shuts things down, makes it safe. Don't have to hear about what could be. And I think that if we talk about aspirational, we talk about the way our country is designed to look for progress and look for improvement. I suggest that the way that says that not actively seeking project suggestions, it doesn't fit in my vision of progress and improvement that I think this country is founded on.
Yeah, the direction is, this is a planning document, not a document that any bicyclist could pick up and say, oh, here's where I want to go. It's like, here's where I might want to be able to go in 20 years. And I think that's where some of the pushback has been before, is we put out a document and says, here's this document for bike facilities, instead of this is a future document for bike facilities, like the, well, go ahead and respond if you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize, but I'm going to have to quibble with you on that. The maps in particular from 2020 that we were excoriated upon were very much in the realm of, these are planning documents, not that they were statements of this is what is existing right now. So I appreciate the comments from the BPAC as far as the desire for aspirational goals. I share those, but the BPAC does also have to understand that some of these conversations that they are suggesting have already taken place within the very recent past, and that it appears that some of those doors still are very much shut. And I will also say that staff's time and resources are very limited. So part of what we're trying to articulate is we would like to have the opportunity to work on the things that we think are going to have the most benefit for us as far as taking a good, thorough, comprehensive examination of, which is one of the reasons why we specifically call out renewed work on the southern leg of the loop trail, because we think that things have shifted and there is a good opportunity there for us to be able to make some fresh headway on the conceptualization and the implementation of that project.
So what's the next steps and,
As I said, or as Mr. Loya said, we are intending to start conversations with relevant stakeholders about the southern leg of the multi-use loop trail in the very immediate future. We're also going to be taking further comments and suggestions. Mr. Chair, we will take a look at your suggestion as far as an interactive trails map to go out for public comment. We'll speak with City of Las Cruces, excuse me, speak with City of Las Cruces and kind of find out how they went about doing that, what specifically went into that, if they have any lessons learned from that, as another immediate takeaway from today's conversation. If there's any other suggestions or anything or comments that BPAC members would like to advance, please do let us know. Like I said, this is very much intending to be a brainstorming process. This is also going to be a recurring agenda item as we make progress on various efforts in this area. Over the course of time, this is not going to be a one and done thing. So we may have, depending on the conversations that we have, we may have an update about this at next month's meeting. But one way or the other, this is going to be a recurring item that we'll be bringing back before the BPAC on a consistent basis going forward.
okay, thank you. Any other committee members?
Mr. Chair, who is the Tortugas community?
Excuse me. That is there's really no better way to describe it than community. They are not they're not a nationally recognized tribe, but it is a group of, I personally prefer to use the nomenclature First Nation. It is a group of First Nation individuals that live in the area, in the Tortugas area. And that's probably the best that I can say on the record. They're not a nationally, they're not a federally recognized tribe, but they are a First Nation group in the area.
Do they have regular meetings with elected officials?
No, they do not.
So how do we, who said, how do we know it says that they're not seeking project suggestions? Who was it that said that? That's what I'm looking for, is authorship.
The Tortugas community is a bit fractured, and I think that's the most that I can say here on the record. I'll speak to you off the record after the meeting.
Yeah, if you have anybody I could talk to, I'd love to hear what their concerns were.
I'll
And I've seen this before. Sometimes there are concerns about nefarious individuals accessing trails, and people have, and that can be very real.
I'm going to demur further comment.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anybody else? So we'll move on to committee and staff comments. City of Las Cruces?
The city doesn't have any comments for today.
Okay, there were a couple of projects.
Well, we do have the compost street. That's at 60%. They are working on the lighting plan and trying to get the traffic light contract settled with that. But right now we're at design, and that is at 60%.
Okay, and I had asked about the Melendres project that I thought was about to start construction.
Melendres, yes, that's already been out to bid. I believe a contractor has been awarded to that. I don't know when construction starts for Melendres.
Okay, because that's, with another hat, I'm in the Alameda Depot neighborhood there, and so that's in that neighborhood. So that's why I was hoping for an update on that. Doña County,
Chair, I have no updates today.
Town of Mesilla, do you have anything for us?
Charles Bolson for the record. We have completed the sidewalk improvements along Calle de Santiago from Avenida moving towards Calle de Picacho. Also, there's the work being done in front of the Parque de Cura. That project should be done, completed by next week. That includes the infrastructure, which would be the sidewalk extensions, as I mentioned above, as well as the water sewer improvement, the roadway resurfacing, a larger parking area to accommodate over 50 new parking spaces. The university project is almost complete from Avenida to McDowell. That is supposed to be done before school starts. And then lastly, they're trying to work on the project with New Mexico DOT to get a flashing light there in front of the Mesilla Town Hall that would help with future projects with the crosswalk area.
Okay. So is the Calle de Santiago, that's in front of the community center?
Yes.
NMSU is not here, so NMDOT.
Mr. Chair, just a few updates. We do have ongoing work there along Travis. It is a federal aided route where Madrid ties in. So there is ongoing work there. No impact to the walking path near the interstate, but there's some activity continues. Main Street is complete. The walking path under the new box culvert is reopened. As you heard, the university job is still underway, under construction between 478 and Avenida de Mesilla. And we are working on a couple of projects to utilize the rectangular rapid flashing beacons at a couple of locations throughout the district. One of them there on New Mexico 28 in front of Town Hall. We're working closely with our group in Santa Fe to utilize HSIP money for funding of the materials and installation and so forth. So that's underway.
Okay, I guess where that kind of project has been called out before, or maybe even a hawk signal, is at the Outfall Channel and Valley Drive. Is that one of the projects under consideration?
The other project under consideration is off of Thorpe Road, New Mexico 28 in Ledesma. The one on Valley Drive, we have coordinated with the city of Las Cruces, and I believe they were actively trying to get something done for the trail crossing there at the channel.
Okay, so that's still a possibility then, I guess.
It's still in the possibilities. That's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. MPO staff updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in general, we're continuing to move forward on the implementation of the MPO transition, getting a lot of the background paperwork in place and moving forward. A lot of pretty technical stuff, so not really in a good position to be able to kind of go into detail about that right now, but that's the main thing that we've got going on at the moment now that the MTP is done, and also beginning to move forward on the next phases of our work. I guess I will mention of note, we are moving forward on the long-anticipated model update that we've been working on. That was kind of put a little bit on hiatus by the MTP, but we're getting back to that. So we're hoping to have that out and on the street and available by the end of this year.
What was that again?
The model update for the transportation model. It's not been updated in nearly 10 years now, something like that. 8 to 10 years,
Okay.
8 to 10 years, so.
So is that something that's on the website, or is that just something you use?
No.
You use it internally to figure out?
It's used internally and by the public works / engineering units of the member jurisdictions. And I mean, we make it available to other stakeholders, but it's not really a publicly digestible document.
Okay. It's just work product.
It's work product.
Need to have. And what about the bylaws update? Is that something that's still down
Yes,
the
thank you,
road?
Mr. Chair. Thank you. Unfortunately, for reasons that I cannot discuss on the record at this time, that's been put temporarily on hold. We're hoping to be able to start work on that. I'll say around September to October. I'm hoping, but unfortunately, I can't go into any more detail right now as to what's been the delay on that.
Okay, thank you. So we're on to committee comments. I guess I'll start and make note that Senate Bill 73 was adopted by the New Mexico legislator, signed by the governor, and came into effect July 1st, which is colloquially known as the Idaho stop. So for bicyclists, if it's a four-way stop and the intersection is clear, bicyclists do not have to stop. They can treat the stop sign as a yield sign and continue through the intersection. At signalized lights, where you have a red light, you still have to come to a stop. But if there's no traffic and you can proceed safely, you can go through the red light and treat it as a stop sign. And I also noticed the city has been putting some sharrows in on some different couple of projects. On Hadley, I noticed, and on Espina. And maybe we could hear about the placement of those sharrows, because they seem kind of a little bit odd to me. The one on Hadley, there's one in the center of the lane, of the traffic lane, which seems fine, but then further down, when you get closer to the curve, where I would expect the sharrow to be out in towards the center, it's right up against the right curb. And on Espina, between Las Cruces Avenue and Amador or Loman, I guess, Amador, I guess is the first street, the one-ways, the sharrows seem to be way far to the left. They're not even in the center of the travel lane, so it just strikes me as a little bit odd. I guess I want a reminder that sharrows are not traffic control devices. They're just kind of warnings to drivers, much like a warning sign. But maybe if the city could update us on their thoughts on sharrows at next month's update.
Mr. Chair, I had seen the one on Hadley. You mentioned Espina. Has there been any other ones that you've seen recently installed?
Those are the only two places
Okay.
that I've seen any installed. This Monday, yesterday, I found the one on Espina.
Okay, because the one on Hadley's been there for a few weeks now, if I remember correctly, I think.
Yeah, that project's been for quite a while. They started that earlier. And that's all I have. Any other committee members?
Mr. Chair, Ashley Curry for the record. Just on behalf of Las Cruces Public Schools, just a heads up that school starts July 25th for kindergarten, 6th grade and 9th grade. And that's a Friday. And then school officially starts for everybody on Monday, July 28th. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Jim Wilcox for the record. I have brought this up before, and I don't want to bring it up every time, so that's why I wait a few meetings. We still do not have a active transportation coordinator with the city of Las Cruces, and that makes 5 years with it only being fulfilled 1 year. And I do believe that somebody in that position can offer suggestions to government officials about where they should place their emphasis for facility improvement and also for safety. I spoke before the city council, and I asked them, what was holding up the process, and they said that they had to redo, they had to update the job description, and that was 3 months ago. So I haven't heard. Maybe somebody from the city can check on the status of that. I don't know how long it takes, except from my experience. I worked for HUD Housing and I worked for Head Start in administration, and usually it took us 2 weeks for an update, 2 months for a new job description, but 3 months, maybe it's been done, I don't know. I haven't seen any posting either for that position. So be great to find out what's going on with that. And then also, I happened to look at the 25-26 budget, and in the line item under active transportation, it said it had about $3,800,000, and it said carryover. And what was missing from The previous budget was about $150,000. And I have no idea what $150,000 was spent on. I'm sure it was correctly spent. I just would like to know maybe that, you can't get much for $150,000. For an example, a rebuild 10 years ago of a four-way intersection in the situation I saw, not here in another city, was $880,000 for rebuilding an intersection. So $150,000, I don't know, maybe get you a lot of restriping of the streets. So maybe somebody from the city can get back to me or tell me who I talked to find out why that money was moved over to the next year without being spent and where the $150,000 went. Thanks.
Anyone else? We're on to our next opportunity for public comment. Anybody from the public wants to make a statement? Seeing none, I hear a motion to adjourn.
Ashley Curry, I put forth a motion to adjourn.
Robert Casillas, second.
Without objection, we adjourn. Thank you.